Well, hello, Sarah Linnell. I
Hello.
have finally captured you at a time when you are free and I am free on Easter Monday, 2026. But how long has this been actually in the works, would you say?
Oh gosh, thinking back, we talked about this, I think even before I was officially on the
Oh no.
books with the agency, at least 2 years ago, maybe three now.
Can I just hide my face here?
No, it's a sign that you have been marvelously busy, which is the best thing.
True, and you. So we are here to talk about mocap because so many actors, not just clients, but actors that I meet along the way, ask me about mocap. And the first person I think of when I think about mocap is Sarah Linnell, you.
Well, I am honored. I walk amongst giants.
Oh,
Um,
so sweet. So, can we? I have got no questions planned. It's going to be completely organic, and I just want to see what happens. Can you just exactly what is mocap?
Okay, I will do my best. So,
Thanks.
mocap, there are a couple different terms for it. Some people still refer to it as mocap for motion capture. Others are now shifting to PCAP for performance capture, or just calling it performance capture in general. A lot of people are familiar with it for the performance that goes into the behind the scenes of video games or CGI performances in movies and TV. If you think of motion capture, you might think of those sort of Velcro suits with ping
Mm-hmm.
pong ball like markers everywhere. But it is capturing the data of movement to then be translated into a digital medium.
So, whether it's mocap or PCAP, are you always going to be wearing those suits?
That has been my experience, unless you are doing some of the scanning in advance where they have all of the markers directly on your skin and face to be able to sync that up later.
Okay. Gosh, I didn't even think about the face, but
Yes.
yeah,
So
that's
sometimes
true.
you have facial capture or not, but whether you're doing the facial performance or the vocal performance or not, people are now pushing for the recognition of movement as performance as well, hence performance capture.
Yeah, okay, I get you, and that makes sense. And you've just reminded me, you've got that photograph on Spotlight with the cameras on your face. We'll just need to just include that in here. Thank you. Okay, good. Do you know the history of
Oh
motion
gosh.
capture? Should have
See, you
prepared you.
said you said I was the first person you thought of, and now I'm gonna look bad. I'm
You'll never
not
look
sure,
bad, darling.
honestly. Huh. I'm not sure when the industry really bloomed, but it's at once a very new part of performance technology and also remarkably full of history. Because obviously, this was referenced in things like Tron in some of the earliest CGI films and elements. And now it's key to huge blockbuster films like Avatar.
Mm.
So it's a technology that is still evolving and evolving at a rapid pace, is what I will say.
Right, interesting. And do you know where it started? Like who invented it, as it were?
Well, I could do the cheeky thing of staying on the call while doing a Google search. I'm honestly, I do not know. I would like to assume it was Japan, but I am very biased. And I know that so many of the mocap studios are based in Japan, although, of course, now we have studios all across Europe and the US and beyond, I'm sure.
Mm, yeah, I wondered if it was Japan actually, without looking, without taking the time to check.
Yeah, we have Sega, of course, is a huge video game giant, and they have their own studio that's always top of the line. I've had the pleasure of working there a couple of times over my years in Japan. But that is one of many mocap studios and volumes, as we call the actual spaces. in Japan.
Oh, nice. Volumes. Oh, thanks. Learned a new term. Love that. Volumes equals spaces. So that's where you're filming. They're called
Yes.
volumes. Oh, neat. Thank you. So how did your journey with mocap come about?
It came about complete kismet, as all the best things do. I am a stage actor primarily by training, who then shifted into TV and film as opportunities presented themselves. My bread and butter when I was primarily in Japan was radio. And just because there aren't a lot of stage roles, or film roles for that matter, looking for this over here, I was feeling disconnected from my acting and my performing when one day, 2015, I want to say, I got a brief for a motion capture audition. And I had auditioned for motion capture once or twice in the past that didn't pan out, but was a wonderful experience. And this one, I didn't know what game it was for because there are lots of NDAs all over these motion capture
Mm.
projects. But I had a sneaking suspicion, just based on what I knew of what was cooking in the video game sphere, and you always see made by Mr. K or something. It's like, okay, I know a couple Mr. Ks. And so I wore what I thought would be an appropriate outfit. I think it was actually this
Oh,
blouse and
cute.
a leather jacket to hint at the mocap suit and also the character. And I psyched myself up in the waiting room and I stepped in to do my audition. And there at the table was Mr. K, Hideo Kojima himself, who
Wow.
is a master of video games and storytelling. So immediately excited and nervous, but all you can do is really just audition your socks off. And thankfully, that's what happens. And thankfully, I landed the role for the performance capture of Fragile in Death Stranding. And I think it took maybe a year, 2 years of filming on and off to complete
Wow.
that. But it was like coming home. It was a
Mm.
completely new medium, and yet I immediately felt this is the best parts of stage and film put together. And I knew I wanted
Wow.
to do more ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. So, did you have any idea that Mr. K would be on the audition panel?
Not at all. In fact, I thought even if it is who I expect it is, he's not coming in for
Mm.
this round of auditions. Someone's going to show him a video. He's busy. So instead I come in, it's like, hello, hello, hi, my name's Sarah. I'm a normal human being who's going to act for you now.
And put my heart back into the ribcage.
Exactly. It's like, ugh.
Oh, that's amazing. So, and what a role. So that was your first experience with mocap and such an iconic role.
Truly, truly lucky. And I honestly think that because motion capture, well, really, like any performance space, once you build a relationship of trust between actor, director, casting director, those same people tend to group together again and again, which is both good and bad. And
Mm.
there is such a strong mocap community in London, in the US. I'm not sure I would have been able to break into that community had I not started in Japan. So I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, so that then led to other roles.
Yes.
Yeah, good. And I love what you said. It shows so much empathy about them recycling, for lack of a better word, the same actors because, of course, they've proven themselves that they can do it, but it's then difficult for other actors to break into that circle, isn't it?
It's it's both specialized and adaptive skill set. And once you have someone who can play so many different characters, because unlike filming and working on the stage, when you are always going to be a, say, 5'8" woman of around 30 years of age, once you're in the mocap suit, your height, your weight, your gender, your age can all change. And so
Mm,
then it's not about finding the exact fit for a role, but a performer who can really tick the box in terms of performance efficiently, expressively.
wow. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So you filmed over a year or two. Why so long?
Well, from what I understand, and of course, we actors are sort of tacked on towards the end of the assembly line, for a video game, there is so much material. It's essentially an entire TV season made into one product, released all at the same time, because the amount of playtime you have. And I believe Death Stranding had at least 80 hours of playtime,
Oh,
if
wow.
more potentially. So I
Yeah.
assume they were still writing some cutscenes, still developing some arcs, and then we're also coordinating with the people in LA who are doing the voice capture as well as providing the likeness, like Norman Reedus and Lea Seydoux, who were the faces of these characters and the voices of these characters. So allowing each part to be taken, then synced up before moving on to the next part.
Okay. Yeah, and I forgot about it being a video game, of course, which is an
Yes.
entirely different medium to a film. So 80 hours plus of game time. That's great. What a lot of work that must involve. You
And
know,
especially Hideo Kojima is known for making very filmic scenes.
right.
And so he's really creating multiple movies that all fit within a
Mm,
playable experience.
yeah, exactly. Even the scene in your sizzle reel, I just think, oh my
Yes.
God, it just looks straight out of a film. Actually, it's incredible, like really incredible. Do the same actors, the same mocap performers ever also voice the same character that they've done in mocap?
Yeah, that's quite common. I've not had the pleasure of doing that myself. It's always been radio where you get my voice and not my body, or mocap where you get my body and not my voice. But one of the most famous mocap performers, who I should have mentioned with the advent of motion capture, Andy Serkis. Motion capture was how they created Gollum and Smeagol in Lord of the Rings, and he has since done so much work with Planet of the Apes and whatnot. We have Neil Newbin, who's in just about everything under the sun. Very recently was in Baldur's Gate 3 and did the motion and facial and voice for Astarion. And so there are really some giants in this business who do everything, and for good
Right.
reason.
Hmm. Isn't it interesting because Gollum, like, I'm not thinking, oh yes, that's a motion capture performer right there. Like, it's so real. It's just the beauty of blending physical actors and the physical performance with those incredible artists and editors behind the scenes who do that and the suit and the cameras. And I mean, to create magic
Absolutely.
like a character of Gollum is just mind-blowing.
And we see now as an example of how much the medium has evolved. When you're able to take a full-sized human like Andy Serkis being Gollum and having that data added into a real world environment, or having him perform in a real world environment, and then having river water splashing
Mm.
over this complete transformation of his body, or we see in Avatar or Planet of the Apes. It's how seamlessly we can meld this data into the scene. It's really remarkable.
Wow, yeah, incredible, isn't it? What an like and what an honor. Do you know any of the people, or have you met them that work behind the scenes? So like in the art department or in the editing department?
Rarely in the, well, having said that, no, I have met. Rarely in terms of scene or costume design, but often when I come into a volume, having been given the schedule for the day and the relevant script, sometimes it's the full script, sometimes it's just one scene at a time, there will usually be a board where you can see the mock-ups of what these characters are going to look like. And sometimes you have the illustrators, the character designers there who can give you a bit of background about the characters and why they've designed them in such a way. I was very lucky on Death Stranding that we had people adding in some of the music that would actually be used during the game,
Oh, wow.
which gave me a sense of, oh, here's the pacing you want for this cutscene.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, we also get what is called a previs, which is a rough mock-up of sort of blocking that a director wants for a scene. So I know before I go on and filming, okay, my character is going to walk this many paces to the bed and then turn around and then come around here. And again, it gives you a sense of flow and you see a rough mock-up of what the space is like, which is sort of like seeing the diorama of a set when you're doing a stage play.
Mm. Oh,
And then,
that's
of course,
so
we have a
cool.
lot of editors there during the day to make sure you're all hooked up and the data's going through.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. And are they as invested? And I know that sounds silly because I would like to think everyone in the industry is hugely invested in their art and the finished product, but are they as invested and as proud and dedicated in their work as the actors, do you think?
I would say more so, if anything. Actors, we come in for sometimes one day of work to just get a lot of motions done for this. Sometimes it's a month, year-long process, but that's a lucky rarity. Whereas the designers and the tech are doing 5, 10 years of work behind the scenes to build an entire world. And they show up every day ready to fix any problem and make sure that they're birthing something new. So I have the greatest respect for them.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, are you a video game player?
Yes and no. I
Okay.
used to be. I used to be somewhat addicted to video games. And then I started this international lifestyle where I can't really put video game systems into a suitcase. So I will watch videos of other people playing games and
Okay.
enjoy the stories.
Okay.
It's a medium I love, but I can't engage with as much
Right.
nowadays.
Yeah, to that level. Because you see on YouTube all the time, don't you? Like gamers streaming, and it's quite
Yeah.
fascinating. My son plays World of Warcraft, has
Yep.
done for quite a few years, but did have a huge break, thank goodness, when he realized he was addicted.
Yes. Fine
But
line.
yeah, exactly. So I'm sometimes at his house when he's watching these streamers play their games. And at first I thought, how is that interesting? But actually, it's very interesting, even for someone who's not a gamer like me, and they're so into it. But as you have pointed out, it's all encompassing.
Yes.
And when you're going here, there, and everywhere from London to Tokyo and the US, yes, it's a bit harder for you.
I
I can
think what
imagine.
helped me find balance is one of the addictive features of video games is the ability to level up and train up
Mm,
skills and unlock things. And so reminding myself, oh, I actually want to do that in my real life too. That's the wonderful thing. I want to train up new skills and find new paths and do all this. So making sure that the gaming time is a nice refresh and inspiration for real world adventures and not keeping you in a bubble.
nice. Yeah, not taking over your life. I love that. What after Death Stranding? Can't believe that's your first one. It's like, imagine most people's dream.
I know, and yet at the same time, oh, it's over 10 years ago now that I really worked on that.
Oh,
So
of course, yeah. 2015, that's crazy. Oh, time flies. So
yeah,
what did that lead you to? What other roles did you go on to play in Mocap? if you're allowed to
I
say, or
can't
maybe not.
say some of these.
Okay, fair enough.
And some projects, unfortunately, we got halfway through, 75% of the way through, and they went poof. Because
Oh,
sometimes that's
okay.
how it is in the business with funding and
Sure,
people's lives.
sure.
But one I can say is I worked on Dragon's Dogma 2, which
Okay.
is a lauded sequel to the Dragon's Dogma series and was also a very different experience from Death Stranding in that with Death Stranding, I was really in charge of one central character with occasional bits of being like a tar blob monster on the side when they needed a hand to reach up from the floor. Whereas in Dragon's Dogma, I had four-ish main characters that I did in addition to whenever they needed a farmer or someone having a spear or a mage here or there. We had maybe 7 actors in the room each day on large days, and at that point we just shuffle through and say, okay, you do this part, you do this part, you do this part. And it's great, just it's almost like playing with hats and masks and just seeing how many quick changes you can do.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow, how cool. So do they change the cameras for that, like where they are on your suit? No.
Nope, the data is the data, and the editors work their magic.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Dragons, Dogma, being a lover of dragons, that sounds my kind of game, doesn't it?
We had multiple people being dragons, being wheeled around on chairs to make them fly. So yeah,
That is wild. Actually, on chairs.
yes, we needed people to be able to fly, and it's hard to do that walking. So, what's wonderful is a lot of these volumes, all of the volumes really, have an action coordinator, sometimes a different title, who helps the director achieve their vision with human bodies, saying, okay,
Wow.
I know what you want to happen. Here's how we can work with the physics here.
Okay.
And so, for example, there was a time when my character needed to float up as if sort of being transported by a UFO, that being carried by a beam of light sort of thing. I can't do that. No human can. So it's figuring out, okay, how many boxes do we get underneath her? And do we have someone without a suit, without markers on their body, able to lift her hips and then move up to the head and neck to support?
Wow.
And things like that.
Wow. God, so much behind it. So it obviously in theatre or film, depending on the production, it can be hard work physically on your body and even mentally sometimes or emotionally. Is it different? Is it more so heavier energetically in mocap?
That's a tough one to answer. I think that if you have experience in film or theater, it will really help you with your motion capture in a lot of ways. You're usually not going to have the extremely long days that sometimes you have on a film set, because people need to do the editing and the data work, and studios need to close down. So it's usually something like an 8 to 6 day
Okay.
if you're shooting a full day. But you are usually up and working either the entire time or sitting the entire time except for 20 minutes.
Gosh.
But people are really great about scheduling you in to make the most of your time.
Right.
It's, I think theater has really helped me in the repetition side of things, of being able to recreate something. Whereas film has really helped me with the spontaneity of just, we're making a dramatic change, go and start performing these lines that you got 20 seconds ago. The suit itself, if you see it on a hanger, you will think there is no way that's going to fit me. It is tight. It both sucks you in and shows every little bit of jiggle you got. And then you're all strapped in, so it is sort of like wearing a straitjacket. So you do feel this bit of strain on your muscles throughout the
Wow.
day.
And is that because of the markers or the fabric itself?
The suit itself, the markers are really just a tiny bit of Velcro and a little marker that just is put
Okay.
on by a tech who knows
Ah,
exactly where to put it on your body.
okay.
But the suit itself is really just almost like wearing a scuba suit in a way.
Wow.
It's quite compressed. So finding a way to keep your body moving and warm and stretched really helps throughout the day.
Okay. Oh gosh, that's incredible. And the markers, so they know the tech knows where to put them, but can they also move them? Is there ever
Yes, they
a,
can.
yeah, they can. So they can, maybe there is something that they need that that marker is not picking up, for instance.
Um, I haven't found that. It's more they would move them if the placement wasn't just right. They have them at set parts of the body that the computer system is then able to triangulate to create a full skeleton. So you're going to have your wrists, your fingers, your elbows, really at your major joints on either side of a lot of joints. So you're never really adding more markers
Okay.
unless you're doing so on a prop to show the dimensions of that, is what I have found.
Right. Okay. So they can hand you a prop and the prop would also have the markers on.
Yes, so
Yeah.
sometimes you're essentially working with a large Nerf sword or something.
Yeah, yeah, because otherwise it wouldn't show up, of course. Yeah, it would just
Exactly.
literally be like a your hand fencing like with nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, oh, so interesting. Um, have you worked, like now that you're living in London, have you worked in mocap at all here or done any further training?
Alas, not yet in terms of working. Definitely on my list. It is through no choice of my own. I'm ready to be hired tomorrow. But I have auditioned. I've really loved being back in the room. I have done some training. I did a workshop with Neil Newbin a couple years ago, actually. And he is great about sharing his knowledge and training up the next generation of performers. So
That's so nice.
I love it when really professional people are not gatekeeping. They're saying,
Mm,
yeah,
yeah,
take it if you can win
exactly.
it from me.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, and passing on their wisdom and experience is so helpful, isn't it? So that's, yeah, I love that. And I especially love the fact that you said not yet, because
Yeah, I don't give up easy.
yay, you're open to opportunities instead of going, no, haven't done it, just closing down. No, not
Matter
yet,
of time.
which means it will happen. Do you know, is there much difference between the UK, even the US actually, but the UK way they do mocap and the way they do it in Japan?
That's a great question. And I think the only way I can answer that is once I've been in the volume in those countries. So
Yeah.
another 2 years from now.
Yeah, I need to get on it as your agent, darling. Right, it's that simple. Like, come on. Like, here she is, ready, willing, and able, and available. Boom, done.
Well,
Uh,
I look forward to finding out the answer with you then.
Yay! Yeah, good. Awesome. We'll need to do a part two, perhaps. Um, do you do you do lines whilst you do? Do you run lines?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's not always the case. Sometimes you're there, or sometimes people who are not me are there doing a lot of the stunts and the fight choreography. And I actually met with some of my friends who are professional stuntmen, martial artists, mocap artists yesterday.
Nice.
I have been cast thus far in roles that are very text heavy, and they need someone who can act out the text. And that was true in both of the projects I mentioned. I had a couple 4-minute monologues in really both of those, where it's
Wow.
just, we need you to be word perfect because we need lips to sync up with the person who has the lines, and we need you to embody this text. And I said, great, that's my favorite thing to do in the world, and I'm pretty gosh darn good at it. So, yes,
Oh, wow. So was that person, the voice actor, were they in the studio at the time? No.
they were not.
So you were doing the mocap, you were running the lines, and then someone is going to do almost like an ADR, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd feeling knowing that my decisions in how I perform then dictate a fellow actor's performance because they're then going to have to match their voice acting performance
Mm,
to my body and my pacing.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it makes a difference when we open our mouths really wide or we're just talking naturally. So that even that they'd have to sync
Absolutely.
up with and mimic, wouldn't it? It's so interesting. So, do you know why, apart from obviously if it was a different gender, perhaps, or a much different age, why they would choose a different voice actor?
I'm sure there are a lot of things that go into this. Whenever I have been brought onto a project, it's after the voice cast has, let me say that again, it's after the voice cast has already been decided. And no, it's not because I always trip up on my lines that I haven't been cast. Uh,
You
so
never trip up on your
usually,
lines.
I just did.
Yeah, it's not line, darling, it's chit chat.
Um, so sometimes we are the final stage, the data. I am not a big name in this business yet. So it's a cost preservation measure in a way, I'm sure, that they can get a performance from me while reducing the number of hours they have to call in an A-list actor away from whatever 5 other AAA films they're doing. But there are other times, as you say, if the gender is different, if the accent is different, age is different.
Mhm.
Although I have been on set where I've been doing my lines and I have been asked, why aren't you doing the voice for this character? Which is a very nice compliment.
Mm,
But that's nothing against any roles I have done because all of the voice actors and the facial capture actors have been perfect. So,
right. Yeah, they've all matched. So it's interesting that they cast the voice first, but then when you think about it, on a video game, of course, the voice is so important.
yes. It's like
Yeah.
casting an animated feature, really. It's just
Mm,
instead of paint strokes, you have us.
hmm. Can I ask you something a little bit more personal?
Sure.
Thank you. If you, because you happen to speak fluent Japanese, if you were asked to play or to perform in mocap as a Japanese character, what would your thoughts be?
I would have to refuse. Um, I'd be very happy to play a Japanese speaking, non Japanese character, but we are finally making strides with representation of less represented characters and types. And I don't want to stand in the way of that. So, as much as I love a chance to flaunt my language skills, right now I'm happy using them in communication with a Japanese speaking crew who can give me direction in Japanese and I can know how
Hmm.
to act on that. But no, there are so many wonderful Japanese actors and actresses in the world, and they deserve their time to shine.
See, another reason why I love you. It's just
Ah,
you're so noble. It's just so beautiful to be that authentic and have so much integrity. I really appreciate you for that.
not that it makes it any easier to say, I'm sorry, no, I
I
can't do
know,
this role.
of
Be
course.
a good person. Be a good person.
Yeah, of course. You're allowed to say no and also have a little bit of regret or sadness.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Hassan. Um, are you, when you're performing in mocap? Are there other actors in the scene, as it were, or do they film you separately?
That's a fun question, and I hopefully have a fun answer for you. So, it depends. Often you will have actors to act against, and one of the wonderful things about the mocap volume is you have cameras 360 degrees, really, without being in your way. So they can take over the shoulder shots, reaction shots, wide shots, close-ups, all at the same time whenever they want. The one complication is when you have really close scenes. And are you familiar with the phrase, the kiss or kill range?
No,
Okay. I'm
I
not sure if
love
this
it.
started in theater. I think it does.
Okay.
But in theater, you know how sometimes actors have a tendency to get too close to each other, and in order to keep a stage picture, you need to be a bit further apart. There's a range that is very close where you're only allowed to be there if you're ready to kiss them or kill them. That is the kiss or kill range. And in film, you're often in that range because it's very intimate, a lot of the shots that you're doing. In mocap, if you're doing facial capture, you have the rig on. And I don't know why I started calling them antlers, because they don't look like antlers. But somehow the image of two bucks getting their antlers locked got in my head, because you sort of you don't see your own rig once you get used to it after 30 seconds, even though it's metal and light and camera. And so you try to act with each other normally until this very expensive piece of equipment goes boom right against your partner's face. And so anything that would be in kiss or kill range can't be.
Uh-huh.
So in that case, you still need your bodies and your faces to be close to each other for taking the data. So what we'll do is we'll actually stagger. So I will be acting a full body width away from my partner, facing a blank wall, while they're at the other side, facing a blank wall. And it's tough to not look at each other. It's just pretending this voice you hear is right in front of you.
Wow.
And that can be a really fun challenge.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like the height of a self-tape when your reader is
Yes.
directly behind the camera, but you have to look over there, for example.
Yeah. And
That's
sometimes what they'll
incredible.
do, sorry, I talked right over
No,
you.
no, go for it.
Sometimes what they'll do is they'll get the body data by doing the staggering, and then they'll have one person with a facial camera while one doesn't, so they can get the expression of an actor actually looking and acting at their partner. And then they'll swap. So it's sort of like changing the camera position,
Mm.
but only for the camera that's right here picking up the dots on your face.
So I hadn't even thought about the camera and the rig. So you were carrying that with you.
Yes, if you're doing the facial capture part of a day or a role. A lot of
Okay.
the stuff we do is just bodies, but if there is text happening, that's usually with the rig
Okay,
on.
there. So how heavy would you say that is?
It gets lighter with each passing year. You might feel it in your neck a little bit,
Wow.
but it's pretty bare.
Okay.
And they screw it in quite tight. So if you're going to feel anything, it's going to be at your temples where it's secured or right in the back of your head. The real problem, which I found out the hard way, you mentioned a cutscene that's on my sizzle reel. I had a facial rig on for that, and I needed to slip in the mud face
Oh.
first. And so
Oh.
I did that, having forgotten that I'm wearing a rig because it disappears. And I went down, and the front of it went gung against the ground first and gave me whiplash.
Oh my goodness.
And then I was like, ah, one, ow. Two, is this expensive piece of equipment okay? Good. Three, let's do that again. And so then we learned to take off the facial rig for that so I could fall like a normal person and then just add some face after.
Okay. Wow, that's a brilliant story. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, the behind the scenes secrets here.
I've also, because you also have mic packs on. So there's
Oh,
lots of wires.
oh
You
my
have
goodness.
wires for your mic packs, and those stick out of your back a fair amount depending on how many you have, how much your voice is being picked up. But I've had times where the crew will essentially create a bit of set for you when it is necessary. You'll get some foam blocks for stairs, you'll get a big foam block or some rails for a wall for you to lean against. And I've done scenes where I needed to sort of do a wall sit, brace myself against a wall and then slide down. And this was against a couple different bars, and my mic pack got stuck in between the bars. So
Oh,
I tried to slide and it went chunk,
of course. Ah.
just having to give the furtive glance of, we need to do the scene again. Hi.
And did it actually fall down or did it just clunk against it?
It just held me up.
Oh,
And so eventually they sort of had to redecide or had to rebuild the walls so that it was more slippable, which are just the things you consider in the volume.
yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you literally have to do it in order to see, oh, it doesn't work this way.
Yeah,
How interesting. That's just wild. Because you're mostly alone, or there's not the same closeness that you would have on stage or screen, do you still build a camaraderie between you and the rest of the team?
absolutely. And I would say that some of my closest relationships in Japan have come from my motion capture
Mm.
work. We don't get to work with each other many days out of a project, sometimes 3 or 4. Sometimes we're not in scenes together. But the people I've met have been so truly impressive and generous. And there's something special about doing all of that problem solving together that, of course, happens in a rehearsal process. But yeah, there was something extra special about it in the mocap world. And there are people that I haven't worked with in maybe 5 years now that I still see for lunch every time I'm back in Tokyo.
Wow, that's lovely. Ah, it's so interesting because I wouldn't have thought you'd have the same closeness.
It's, you never know who you're going to meet on a project. I was very lucky in one project that I was working on that had a lot of really wonderful motion actors there, from both Motion Actor Inc., which is a company of motion actors, and Katsu Gekiza, which is another company of motion actors. And between those two groups, pretty much everything in Japan gets made. So to have them both on one set was like, oh, it is my time to shut up and learn.
I
And
love it.
so getting to watch them all work was wonderful. And at the end of the day, one of them came up to me and said, do you have time after this? Can I talk to you over coffee? And there had been some little bumps in the road during the day. Another actor had been a little less than prepared. And so I was worried if I was going to get a talking to. But we went out, got me a coffee, and he said, you are what an actor should be, the way you behave in the room. And so whenever there's a project, would it be all right if I ask for you to come along?
Wow.
Which is the best thing you can be told. And I've learned so much from him. In fact, I received product placement here, a posing book that the company does. So you can see the mocap suits
Oh.
here. And they've basically created reference photos for cameramen and artists to learn how to design for action.
Wow. Love it. Oh, and what a beauty, like what a generous thing to do and say, but it also shows for him to have done that, like how beautiful a person, an actor you are too. I mean, a beautiful gesture from him, but I mean, and you were beginning to doubt yourself, look, I help. Did I not, was I not on top of my game?
I'm
And then it was
always
the
afraid of
opposite.
being called to the principal's office. Yeah. But no, and then that team of people ended up creating a stage play about the lives of motion capture performers called Mocap the play, and wrote a role for me to be in it. So it's, you never know where a connection is going to lead, and it's,
Yeah.
I'm so grateful whenever I get to work and play with these
Yeah,
lovely people.
there you go. It's what it's about. And has the play been on already?
Yes, that was maybe, I want to say 2 years ago.
Okay.
I perhaps asked you permission to say, can you ignore castings for about 2 months while I do this strange little play in Tokyo? Thank you very much. But it was great because we're both motion capture artists. I come from a text-focused acting standpoint. These are professional stuntmen, and I
Wow.
would never dare put us in the same category because it'd be like saying, I can wave a rapier on stage for 2 minutes. I'm a stuntman. No, they're the pros in that regard. And they very kindly gave me some fight choreography in this play. It was a 3 versus 1 katana brawl. And
Ugh.
of course, having three excellent stuntmen make me look cool, because it's not something I can accomplish on my own. But they gave me some wonderful choreo. I had a great time learning it. And then I had the best of the best making me look good. So how wonderful are they?
Mm, that's so amazing. Do you feel for no matter where you are, for actors, is it just your luck almost that, for example, you're the right size? That I know height is massive to get into, to break into the industry. I'm just wondering how we can encourage actors who would love to be in this side of things.
That is such a tough one to answer. As I'm sure you know better than me, probably having seen all of these briefs and doing all these submissions day in and day out. There will always be an element of luck, of especially now when casting directors are able to scroll through a database and see what image pops before clicking on a profile or opening a submission. That being said, a lot of my work has come not from a successful audition in the traditional sense, but from being in a room auditioning for something, not getting that job, but having comported myself in such a way that people want to call me back for something else. Or like with Mocap, people who have worked with me wanting to work with me again. And I've had multiple acting teachers remind me of sort of the triangle of higher ability or good actor makeup. And yes, there's luck, and there's talent, and there's reliability, good person, the Tom Hanks vibe.
Mm,
I've heard it called, which is, do you show up when you say you're going to show up, prepared
yeah,
and pleasant to work with?
yeah,
Sometimes you can get work just with the luck or just with the talent. But the people who get work and continue to get work usually have that magic
yeah,
triangle.
yeah. Absolutely. Because I have worked when I was an actor with people who were neither reliable, not all of them, thank goodness, just, as a note there, um, and or who weren't necessarily nice, and it creates such an atmosphere on set, doesn't it? So, yeah, absolutely. And as you know, once my clients have confirmed a self-tape. Barring an emergency, I have to have a self-tape because there's so many actors that are considered flaky by not just people in the industry, but even, companies. Oh, I would never hire an actor in a part-time job because they're so flaky. No, being reliable is so vital.
It's a tough thing because being an actor is hard. We get told no a lot after putting our hearts on our sleeves and saying, please, someone like me and respect me. But I'm reminded every time I'm working on a play, when I'm on set, I actually sort of have the easiest and most fun job on the day. Um, some actors may hate me for saying that, but yeah, sure, I'm coming in at 4 a.m. The tech people, the director, the PA have been there since 2. Sure,
Mm,
I'm going home at 1 a.m. Well, the tech and the director and the PA are going home at 3.
yeah.
And so we have the shortest days full of some waiting around, but also doing this creatively fulfilling thing that we love while also having people bring us our food and our coffee and making sure we look glamorous. So it's, I find that the kindness and light we bring into a job is always magnified. And I've learned that from the people around me who have this awareness of this could be a really wonderful day or a really horrible day.
Mm,
And it depends on us. And if I take care of you, you're going to want to take care of me and everyone else. And it builds and builds until what more can you ask for?
yeah, that's beautiful. Kindness and light. How perfect is that? And I definitely like and respect you. So I'm sure everybody that has worked with you and will work with you will feel the same. I just have a little story, sorry to jump in there,
Yes.
that I just love sharing this because when I was an actor on those odd occasions, as you say, we get a lot of no's when I wanted to give up. I remembered this story, and I had been in college for 2 weeks and I was doing everything I could. So I just every time I saw a casting, I was diving in, and Tag Theatre and the National Theatre of Scotland were doing a combined professional cast and community cast co-production of The Crucible. And of course, I went on and auditioned and was cast in the role of Goody Putnam. And during rehearsals, once the professional cast came up, I could not take my eyes off of Sally Reid, who was the professional actor playing Mary Warren. She was phenomenal. And because I'd only been in college 2 weeks and I was just wanting to learn everything I could, I was going from person to person, from crew to crew, asking them what their title was, what they did in their job, like because I just wanted to learn everything. And on the second day of shows, during the matinee, Sally got really ill. She had a really bad flu, and the director came and grabbed me after the show and said, she's too ill to go on. Would you read her part? Or we can cancel the show. I'd love to read her part. Bearing in mind, I had watched her, I knew every single step of her blocking because she was so watchable. So I had to, it's almost as if the gods that be had gone, like, sit in that seat behind the director and study every move because you will need it. And so I went on with a book and got this massive standing ovation
Ooh.
afterwards. And I remember being on stage at one on one scene and look and being flung up and then looking up and seeing the lighting coordinator beaming, and they were with me, and I absolutely felt in that moment it was because I had gone around introduced who I was. I was no one. I was a student actor who'd been in college for 2 weeks in the community cast, but I wanted to learn. And they were absolutely behind me. And that energy of support, there's
Mm.
nothing like it, right?
It
Just,
feeds on
yeah,
itself, it
yeah,
grows.
yeah. And that kept me going for years and years, just remembering that moment and that gift and luck. I don't know if you'd call that luck because someone obviously wasn't well, but like it was so good for me and it gave me so much confidence. It was beautiful, such a gift. And yeah, I just held on to that.
Mm.
So we never know. And yeah, just be real. Don't be nice to get something out of people,
Right.
right? Because we all
You
know.
can see through that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Hopefully we can all do that. Like, feels a bit icky. There's something not quite right about this compliment.
I remember I was on set one day where just long waiting hours, but they have this little refrigerator of drinks, or in Japan, if you're lucky, you also get a heater for hot bottles of tea. And one of the people managing the studio was coming around to us and was adding some more drinks to the stock and rotated them out so that the coolest ones of the cold would be at the front and the warmest ones of the
Details.
warm would be at the front. And it's just like
Yeah,
it's the little
love that.
things.
Love that. That's somebody very good at their job and so thoughtful, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. Um, is there anything you can think of about mocap or indeed anything at all that you would like to pass on to anyone watching?
Number one, please hire me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, it's there is so much I still have to learn, which I hope will be the case as long as I am living and working. But I am eternally grateful to Mocap for, how do I put this? It both strengthened me professionally in terms of watching how professionals work in this new medium and learning from them, while also reminding me of the sense of play that brought me into the theater in the first place. This really transformative exploration of the power of imagination, because you're in these blank rooms with cameras all around, not a scrap of costuming on you. You're wearing the bulkiest sneakers you ever did see with ping pong balls on top and having to walk like you're in sexy stilettos. And there's something that strips back a lot of the ticks that one has accumulated as a performer and reminds you of that pure childlike creative boldness when you're in the mocap studio. So I would encourage people who have the opportunity to work in a mocap volume to really embrace that, to play with a diligence, to know when to really explore boldly and make committed choices, and then be a consummate professional when listening and learning. And I would also encourage people who might not really want to make a career out of motion capture to, yes, by all means, explore the workshops that are now available to access a different creative side and see how that informs your practice on stage or screen. Because the more varied experiences we have, in my experience, the more flexible you are as an actor.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I love that. I just wrote down play with diligence. Play with the diligence. I just really feel that's what I and the agency and all my clients are about. having fun or seriously having fun
Yes.
or having fun seriously. I don't know what way I would put it. We're serious about playing in this beautiful industry of
Yeah.
ours. Incredible, but yeah, with that extra diligence. So beautiful. So you are in Japan right now.
Yes.
Tell me why you're there.
Well, I am here to kick off the 11th season. Wow. Yeah. 11th season of a TV show that I've been hosting, which introduces Japanese cinema to the global audience. I talk with, once again, people who have more experience and knowledge than me, so I'm always in a learning position. But I speak with directors, film critics, professors of film and media about some of the latest releases and those that are on the festival circuit. And it is available to stream for free in, I believe, 166 countries and
Wow,
regions off of a
wow,
computer. So you don't even need a special cable channel or anything.
wow. That's so cool. That's
Yeah, and I get to
amazing.
go to Toho Studios, which is a film giant of Japan. This is my second season where we've been able to kick off a new season there. So it's lovely to say hello to the Seven Samurai and Godzilla as I'm walking through the gates. It doesn't really get better than that.
That is too cool. How fabulous. And will you continue, even though you're living in London now, will you continue doing your presentation and
Very fortunate to be able to say yes. I once left the program in order to pursue my master's degree at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, and handed the program over to a wonderful actor in her own right, Shizuka Anderson. But when my time at RCS was up, the director and producer invited me back and said, "We are happy to continue remote filming, haven't already switched over to remote because of the pandemic. We know we can do this, and we'd like to do this with you as you explore your international career." So,
wow.
yes, it's maybe once or twice a year I come back to Japan to work in the room with them, and the rest of the time we do the time zone mambo and film in multiple places at once.
That's brilliant. And yes, and that's why you're still quite awake at whatever the time is now with you.
We ignore it. Time doesn't exist.
I love it. I'm so glad you took the time and had the time, and we finally managed to match our time to get together. It's just always such a pleasure talking to you and learning and just fishing from your incredible mind.
Oh, you are too kind. It is always my pleasure to blab about the things I love. And I have
Yeah.
so many stories about Velcro gone wrong and everything else under the sun, but we want to edit this somehow, so I'll leave it here.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. And when are you back in the UK?
Well, I will say a tentative. I'm scheduled to be back in early May, May 7th, I believe, but I'm always willing to fly for a job. So,
You heard it here first. Exactly. Are you ever worried about, obviously, I was 12 years in Hong Kong, so I spoke really good Cantonese, but the only chance I get to use my Cantonese now is well, apart from when I swear, when I kick the table or trip up or something, or it's a no for a client, or sometimes even if it's a yes for a client, is when I'm in a Chinese restaurant ordering dim sum. Are you ever concerned about losing any of your fluency in Japanese?
I will answer that after I say, I love that Cantonese is your dedicated swearing language. That's marvelous.
It's so passionate. When I was in Hong Kong once, there was a scream, and at first I was thinking I was at my computer desk typing away, and I thought, for goodness sake, it's that baby screaming across the way again. And I went out, and no, it wasn't. It was a trigger warning snake, and it
Oh,
had half captured a frog.
Oh.
in its mouth. And I was thinking, will I, you know, what can I do? Can I rescue the frog? And then I thought, no, it will be too late because then it will be damaged and it would have a slow, very painful death instead of, although it's obviously painful and slow at the moment, it won't be long before it, you know, gets eaten completely. And I did the first thing that came naturally to me was, yeah, swearing my head off in Cantonese at this snake. Words I cannot say now, but like that are just straight away. I mean, the snake didn't care, but I hope that the frog felt some kind of, you know, support, affinity. Oh, it's hard. Isn't it funny? The first
Oh,
language of choice and swearing.
yeah. Wow. Oh gosh. Well, to answer your question, yes, I do worry, but those worries have been recently assuaged by my time here. I've been away for a year now. And in this past week, I had a 10-hour long conversation with a friend about a dance team that we've both participated in and how we want to move things in this next sort of era of its development. I had a 5-hour chat with my Mocap folks yesterday in Japanese. So, yes, the first week when I arrive and I'm all jet lagged and I don't know where I am and who I am and why I'm anywhere, then things get muddled. But I've also worked out a new cell phone contract while I'm over here. So, apparently, the gears are still turning when I'm away, and I'll just need to find a way to make use of my time whenever I'm back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and obviously it's just still there, this tiny bit of refreshment, and then boom, there
I
you
will
go.
say is one of the reasons why I decided to do the Japanese Macbeth monologue that I shared a couple
Mm,
months ago. It's
mm.
like, yes, please know me for Shakespeare, but also for Japanese, and also I need to practice.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only way.
Yep.
Literally the only way. I should start doing more than swearing, you know, and it'll come back. Amazing. Thank you, darling, for your time. I so appreciate you. Have an amazing,
Likewise.
amazing rest of your trip in Japan and look forward to seeing you in on May the 7th, unless an incredible casting director reaches out and go, you are just what we need.
All right. I'll let you go back to being the rest of the people's champion. Thank you for your
Oh, you
time.
sweetheart. Thank you, my darling. Lots of love to you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.